Everyone, Amber here from Majestic. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are sewing up month 5 of Cotton Cut's Puzzle Mystery Quilt Wild West. As always, I am sewing up a large Josie, and this month we are sewing up 4 of these blocks. So thank you to Cotton Cuts for allowing me to be an ambassador. I have so much fun with the Puzzle Mystery Quilts. We just finished up Tree of Life, so that means next week is sign-ups for the next Puzzle Mystery Quilt, which is called Flyaway. In the description, I am going to have a link if you are interested in joining. I highly recommend signing up as soon as possible. And also, if you're able to, I really do suggest prepaying all up front so you get the whole box delivered to you, and that way you can start sewing as soon as the clues are released each month. So I hope you'll consider joining in. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial today. If you do, please consider subscribing or giving me a thumbs up and help my channel grow. I appreciate it so much. Enjoy! Alright, so I'm getting ready with clue 5 here to start laying it out. And I just wanted to show that in every Puzzle Mystery Quilt, in clue 5 and the last clue, they always send like a little bonus gift. And this one, I'm waiting to see what it is, because at first I thought it was a sticker, but I think it's a magnet. Yes, and that's exactly what this is. So thank you to Cotton Cuts for throwing in these bonus gifts for us. And if this was in, I had one of the boxes where you pre-ordered it, or paid ahead of time, I should say. So I believe if you had that, you probably got a magnet. I'm not sure if it's a different gift if you are sewing monthly. Okay, so I'm going to finish setting up the rest of putting out my pieces, and then we'll get started on the block for month 5. Okay, so we are going to get started on our month 5. I have all my pieces laid out next to me. I have my clue printed as well as my fabric card, and I am ready to go. I'm using a 7010 needle, Aurifil thread, and my Singer 5528. So we have 4 blocks. They're all the same this month. So we can just start. If you are sewing all at once, you're going to follow, the ×4, however many on the side. Because I'm only sewing 1 for the video, I'm going to cut all these by 4. So we're going to start off. We need an A and an S small triangles. We are making half square triangles. And again, if they are smaller pieces, I am just lining them up. I'm not clipping them into place. And I'm sewing at that full 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay, and for this one, we are pressing our seams down towards the F triangle, which is the pink one if you're doing the Josie colorway, or to the bottom if you have a different colorway. This block, the past few months have had a lot of white fabric. And this one has all the other colors except for white. So I'm really interested to see how these are going to come out and where they're going to go. Okay, so now for step 2, we are sewing our step 1. We're going to keep it in the same orientation to the top of an S rectangle, a large F rectangle. And S is that pink fabric. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them right sides together. You can clip them if you want. They should still match up evenly because they were die cut. And I'm just making sure I trim all my fabric or all my threads as I'm going. And for this one, we are pressing our seams up towards that half square triangle. All right, so this is step 2. I'm just going to set it to the side. Step 3 has, we need to make 12. So if I divide that by 4 blocks, I'm going to make 3. They're also half square triangles with the F fabric in the top right and the C fabric on the bottom. And the C fabric is this green one. And so for all 3 of these, I'm just going to chain stitch them so that way I don't have to cut my thread in between each. So I definitely recommend that if you are sewing all the blocks at once. When I do my lives, that's what I do there. So how I've been doing my cotton cuts for the past few months is that I sew up one of the blocks, or if there's more than one, on a regular tutorial, and then I sew the rest on one of my Tuesday night lives. So every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, I go live on my YouTube channel. So if you'd like to join in and check that out, definitely feel free. All right, and then all of these are being pressed up towards the F triangle, so to the top right. And as always, I like to give the back a press to begin with. Helps it fold open nicely. Right, so now we're on step 4, and I'm going to move 2 of these to the side because it says that we need to turn step 3 so that the F, the pink side, is in that top left corner, and we need a C square to the bottom, which is the green, and an F square to the top, which is the pink. So this is where I'm going to be very careful about I'm putting them right sides together, and I'm going to make sure that I'm sewing the correct side, because it's so easy to turn this around, especially because I'm not clipping, and accidentally sew the wrong side. And for this, our seams are pressed towards that center block, or pressed down. So I'm going to press them first, and then I'm going to attach the C square to the bottom, making sure that I'm lining everything up. Okay, and then this is also being pressed down towards that C block. And now we're on step 5. So we need to join our step 4, which is the one that we just finished, to the right of step 2. So step 2 is right here, and I'm lining them up together, and we have one seam that we need to match up. So I'm going to put them right sides together,
but then I'm going to turn them towards me, and the way that we pressed our seams, they are going to nest. So they're pressed in opposite directions. And because I really want that to match, I'm going to clip that side first and then clip along the rest, just lining up the edge. And because this has seams to match up and so long, I'm definitely using clips on this one. Okay, and for this, our seams are being pressed towards the left, the one that has the A triangle in the top right. So I'm just pressing the back side, then gently opening them, especially when there's a lot of seams that come together, like right here. My seams always want to kind of like flip back on themselves. So I'm just making sure I'm opening it, and then I'll give it a nice press. And I like to try to give where the other seams are coming together a press as well, to kind of help keep it flat as we're going. Okay, and then the last part of step 5 is we need to add a C rectangle to the bottom here. And I'm also going to clip this one just because it's so long and I don't want it to shift. And I'm going to place the clip in the center where that seam is. Even though the rectangle doesn't have a seam, I want to make sure that my presser foot doesn't flip the seam in the wrong direction as it's going through. Sometimes that happens to me, so I try to be really mindful of that. All right, and then for this one, our seams are being pressed down towards that large C rectangle. Okay, and then I am just going to set this to the side for a minute because we're moving on to our next one. So now for step 6, we have we need one of our half square triangles that we made in step 3, and we need to sew an F square to the right of it. Okay, so I'm gonna put them right sides together. This is small enough again that I'm not clipping it. And for this one here, I'm pressing to the right. And setting that one to the side. Step 7 is a little bit similar, but we need to turn this last step 3 so that our F is in that top left corner, and we're going to sew a F square to the left hand side. Again, putting them right sides together. And again, this one's being pressed to our left-hand side. I'm just trimming. One of my thread tails got caught in it, so just trimming that out of the seam. Okay, so again, we're pressing towards the F square, but this side, it's on our left.
What?
And now in step 8, we are taking our step 6 and joining it to the top of step 7. So our F squares are opposite of each other, and our C squares are on the left hand side and then the bottom right. And again, I'm going to flip them right sides together and really make sure I'm lining up that center seam. The seams nest perfectly next to each other. So again, I'm clipping along. Right, and then for this one, our seams are being pressed towards the top. And again, I'm going to set that to the side for a second. So our last step, we need a large C triangle and a large A triangle. The C is going to be on the top right, and the A is on the bottom left hand side. And these are two large pieces, so I'm going to put them right sides together, and I am going to clip them because they're so long that I don't want them to shift. It got pressed down into my feed dog, so so sometimes that happens. I try to turn my needle, like hand crank it in to start, but especially on the triangles when there's such like a small point there, sometimes it does get pushed down in. So I just clipped the thread that was holding them together, and we'll start again. Hopefully what I'm going to do is start a little bit further down. If that happens, you can start a little bit further down, and then I'll back stitch to the end. Using a leader piece of fabric also helps with this. No, look, it's doing it again. All right. What I'm going to do, I'm going to cut that off, and I'm going to start from the other side. Okay, and for this one, our seams are going to be pressed towards the top right, towards that C triangle. Okay, so now we need our step 9, which is the piece that we just made here, and that's going to go on the bottom. So you want to make sure your large C triangles on the top, the A, and then our 2 C pieces are to the left and to the bottom right. And this doesn't have a center seam, so I don't need to worry about lining up a seam. I am just going to line up the straight edge. Though I did clip at the seam first, just because, like I said previously, it helps me make sure that my presser foot or feed dogs don't flip that over. Okay, and then for this one, our seams are pressed towards the large triangles. Gently fold that open and then press from the front. And again, this is another very large block because now we have to move things around a little bit. This piece here that we just did, our step 10, is going to go to the left of this large piece here on the right hand side. So we know we have it correct when our large A triangle's on the left and then our small A triangle is on the top here of this piece. And if we look, there's a seam here and a seam here, but on the opposite sides, they don't match up. The only seam that we really need to match is this bottom one. So I'm going to put them right sides together first, turn it towards me. So again, I can see those seams. And sometimes it's easier if like I'm not doing this on camera, I will hold the fabric like very close to my face to make sure that I am lining everything up. So I clip that seam first and now I'm just lining up the rest of the edges. I just lifted it because I do have a seam underneath. I wanted to see which way it was going so that way my presser foot doesn't flip it. And then this is going to be pressed towards the side that has the large A and C triangles. So again, just taking my time and gently opening it, especially where all those seams come together. It wants to fold back on itself. I'm going to give it a nice press from the front. All right, so here we have our completed block for month 5. Again, this is the large size, and you should have 4 of these.
All right, so we have just finished sewing up our block for the month. You should have 4 of these. When you're done, don't forget to post a picture with your Flat Nancy in the Cotton Cuts Facebook group. You can win some fun prizes there. And as always, I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and I'll see you next time. Bye!